Welcome, Night Owls, to the Book Club After Dark podcast, an inviting moonlit podcast. I'm your host, Danny.
And I'm Michelle. We break down fantasy, romantasy, dark romance, and thriller novels.
All things enchanting, intriguing, suspenseful, and maybe a little spicy.
Each episode features intimate discussions on captivating stories, character breakdowns, fan theories, and more. And here's your content warning. This podcast contains mature themes and discussions that may not be suitable for all audiences. Episodes include explicit language and description of mature romance, as well as depiction of violence and other intense subject matter. This podcast is rated R for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Of course. And going forward from here, we are continuing our coverage of the Eating Woods trilogy. So we are in book 1 of Anathema, as we well know, but this is episode 5 of our Anathema coverage. We are going to be covering lots of stuff in Anathema, so we expect that you've read at least to the point we're going to cover tonight. We're not going to be covering anything from Eldritch, so you're good there, but make sure that you are at least caught up with Anathema and aren't going to be upset by any spoilers. So consider this your spoiler warning.
Let's get cozy because the best stories are told after dark.
All right, Michelle, let's get into our drink of the episode. So Tonight, the Vander's drinking a lot in the opening parts of where we are because, first of all, we're at this thing called The Becoming, which is the name of our drink. But we're at this thing that's like not a great thing, which is basically, oh, look, you're a coming of age, right? So we're going to auction off your virginity. Great.
Yes.
This is great. Zavander has very personal ties to why this is extremely triggering for him. We're going to see one of our true villains in this series come up. There's a couple true villains, but one of our true villains we're actually going to meet in this next coverage of chapters, and she's a piece of work. She's General Lois, and she's awful. There's a special place in place in hell for people like General Lois. So we're going to meet her, but I thought drink of the episode wise, I really wanted to, I've been talking about this drink in particular. It's like a very spring drink. You can see it here. It's
pretty
lime. I took fresh lime this time. These are not dehydrated. These are fresh floating limes that I've cut up and sliced into circles. So regular full slices of lime, not your wedge. I've dropped them in the bottom of a glass. I've added Pinot Grigio and Sprite. You can do 50-50. You can do sparkling water instead of Sprite. You can do a variety of whatever you would like to do here. The idea of it's like a spritzer. And so when I thought of the purity aspect of The Becoming and how there's white roses and there's this symbolism of white and this purity element to this, and there's wine, I was like, Zavander pounds back several goblets of wine while he's at this event. And God love him, I'm with him on that because
we don't blame him at all.
No, I totally understand why he's into that right now and why he needs that for this moment, because your boy's dealing with some serious trauma and he's having to come face to face with the person who's been traumatic for, no exaggeration, 100 years of his life. So there's just a lot to unpack with this, but I wanted to embody this idea of purity and also wine. We went with a pretty simple drink of the episode. We're calling it The Becoming. Of course, that is for the princess, who this event is for, that through The Becoming. And we've got a lot that's about to go down in these next few chapters of Anathema by Kerri Lake. So cheers.
Cheers. I love how light and versatile that drink is and just the imagery that it represents with the ceremony, because shit's about to get real. And we just need something light because it's going to keep getting dark.
Need something light. Yes. So in the darkness, we've got to shed the light with our drink of the episode this week. So that's our drink of the episode. It's called The Becoming, which is not great, but the drink itself is very light. So we hope you enjoy. Tonight, we're diving back into the Eating Woods. We're exploring chapters 52 through 62 of Anathema by Kerri Lake. So whether you're reading along with us or you're just here for the book talk, we're glad you're here. We're also, of course, as always, going to have our drink of the episode, which we just did, our signature thing. And then we're going to have a Down the Rabbit Hole segment where we're going to get into our book talk and Bookstagram, The Enemy. More to come there. Let's talk Sarah J Maas and the Call Her Daddy podcast and what our thoughts were on that. And then we're also going to wrap up, as always, with our mystery Q&A. So we're glad you're here. Let's get into it.
Let's start with chapter 52. So this is Zavander's perspective, and just like Danny was saying, he is pounding down drinks. He just saw Maveth and Alasia He knows that they're there. So obviously his mind is divided. And what else can bring him down is General Lois, who is the person who was abusing him for a century. So Lois is a Silesian. Remember the Silesians and Zavander's people?
Here.
Yeah. Yes. So they're not there on happy terms, but they're there just for like political duties, essentially. And it gets into Zavander's head because the person who gets to take the princess's virginity is also a Silesian. Everyone's uncomfortable, more than uncomfortable on all fronts. So Lois, she's a bitch. Like, honestly, I can't. Yeah. She just comes up to him and she's like flirting, but basically hanging his trauma in his face. And I'm just and his internal thoughts are like, I really just want to beat the shit out of this person right now. But also laced in that, in his anger, there's this fact that I feel like he feels small around her. Not that he's a big ass man, but this is the person who really, he was a boy and through a century grew into a man under this trauma. Yes.
She collected him as a teenager.
Yes.
He was,
and it's still...
She even mentions that when she talks to him. She's, like, when I got
you've grown into
a boy,
man.
Now,
yeah, exactly.
Now you've grown into a man.
It's absolutely disgusting, and it gets to him because he's a badass and he's really powerful, and he could easily kill this woman. He doesn't, and he has to keep like political niceties because of the ceremony. There's already issues with the villagers and an uprising, and there's so much riding on the just the state of the kingdom that he needs to play nice, even though this is literally his abuser. And what he draws the line at is she starts mentioning Mavis, and one, the fact that Mavis caught her eye. Obviously, they were dancing together. There's that. But two, she was like saying, "Oh, maybe I should bring her up to my room." And he literally just pulls a blade to her throat. "Don't you fucking dare, or I will cut you here and now. Fuck everything else." Which, yes, touch her and die. This is what we love. Touch her and die. And then Zavander, obviously trying to be the bigger man, he goes and guards the prince, who is also very drunk. And all he wants is his lover. And we mentioned this in a previous episode. His duty is to produce an heir for the kingdom, but he does prefer men. So Zavander goes and guides him up to his chambers with his lover, and he leaves him there. He, like, in his mind, he's like, I probably shouldn't leave him there, but Mavis is more important than my duty right now, so I'm going to go find her. And
he's, like, slurring his speech. He's trashed the prince.
Yes.
The way he's... Yeah. Well, and you have to think, too, like, for him, this is his sister. He handed
his sister off to Selene.
Yeah, and he literally had to hand her off in a very traumatic way, and he's... everybody's traumatized.
Why is this a thing? World. I want to know, why is this a thing? Like, why are we not, like, getting rid of this? This is awful. This is an awful practice. If I was the king, it's like my daughter is going off to, like, our enemy, essentially, but our not enemy, and I just have to watch her get fucked. Like, this. Obviously, yes, Kerri thought of this. But, like, at what point in history we're like, it'd be nice. And I know if you go back to like feudal times, with royalty, there's the whole, once the princess does lose her virginity or whatever, there's like the bed sheet that they hang out. So there's like some historical reference to this, but I don't think we all watched. Maybe they did watch them. Some of them probably did watch them fuck. I don't know. This is awful.
Who knows?
This is awful. But anyways.
Honestly, there was some of that because there was like, we have to witness to consummation.
Right.
Okay. So that definitely was a thing. Now, this is obviously a completely fictional world, but to build a fictional world, you're going to draw on some realism. You're going to have to base it somewhere.
That makes me really happy that I was not born in any other time period. I know a lot of people romanticize about being like born in like the 1700s and whatever because of what we see in Bridgerton and whatnot. That'd be more 1800s. But no.
No plumbing. No running water.
Plumbing. Can you imagine having your period during that time?
I can't even imagine
so this is like a weird
time, to be fair.
This is a weird thing. So my husband, he loves watching it's like a
weird segue here.
We are in a weird segue. But this is important. He likes
I'm
watching
listening.
these like time historical shows where they like go and find artifacts and rebuild castles and whatnot. He's such a history nerd.
Okay.
And I was watching them rebuild a castle, and I never thought about like the bathroom situation in castles, and literally they would build the bathroom a little bit outside of like the castle wall with a hole. They literally shit on a hole that would just fall to the ground right outside the castle, and it's just there. And I know I remember seeing something about that in Game of Thrones, but then I was like, oh, it's an actual thing in these old castles. There's just a bunch of holes
Tyrion's
in the
dead.
walls. Yeah, but I didn't realize.
Tywin.
Yes, I didn't realize that was an actual thing. I don't know why. I was like,
Historically
toilet,
accurate.
fine. Toilet, yeah, no. Hole, shit falling from the sky. That is what we have.
Or the chamber pot. Pick your poison.
I wonder, did Maveth have a shithole in Eidolon Castle? Where were they going in Eidolon Castle?
They had a bathroom.
Yeah, but like, where was it? They all had a bathroom, but where's the bottom of the toilet?
We've talked about this with UTIs and Romantasy. We don't mention. We just don't mention these types of things.
If I ever talk to Kerri Lake, where are they shitting?
Yeah, but like some of the, where's everybody pooping at? We need to know. It's important for science. Help us out.
Okay.
She's just going to stare at us like, what's wrong with you? Nobody's worried about that. Why are you worried about that?
When I'm building my fantasy realm in my head, I need it rooted in something tangible, which is bodily functions.
Okay.
Anyways, as Zavander, back to Zavander, who is not shitting at this point in time. He is going back to Maveth. And we're getting this like character yearning from him, which I love. We love the yearning.
Yeah, we love the yearning.
He's describing the way he like
wearing.
Yeah, and the way he like compliments her. Some of the compliments are like mildly insulting in a way. Like, she's chaos wrapped in fine silk. Being chaotic isn't always like the biggest compliment, but she is chaotic. The embodiment of trouble that nearly brought him to his fucking knees when he'd first laid eyes on her across the ballroom. So achingly beautiful, his chest hurts. So very poetic.
Yeah.
Yes. He loves her without wanting to because Lois is a piece of shit. But the becoming ceremony commences, and the princess and Silesian captain enter the chamber. This is where Maveth and Rakaya like peace out here. Yeah. Maveth goes with Zavander. Yeah, we got places to be, better things to do than watch all of this. So Maveth leaves with Zavander while Rakaya leaves with Torin, who was another guard there. And Maveth and Zavander go to confront the mage that she recognized from Foxglove. And Zavander uses his scorpions to interrogate him. And what he finds out is he was sent to Mortasia to find Vivicantum, which obviously this is what Moros found. Cadavros lives, and he knows that of the vein that Moros discovered because Moros fucking told him that there was a vein there. If we go back into the woods, he's, oh, you like the white rocks? I know where they are. I can tell you where they are.
Oh, yeah.
And yep. So he doesn't know specifically what happens to Alasia. He knows that she came back, but he also knew that Maveth would be there at the ball. Or like news, I hoped she would be here. So they had realized when magic happens, or when they use magic, there's like remnants left behind, and they have found remnants of a Corvicae, which is what Maveth is. And so they had suspected she would be here, and ultimately they set them up. They knew Rakaya could read minds, and deliberately planted two names in like the check-in book that the guard was reading, and if those names showed up, they knew that was Maveth and Rakaya. So they set them up, and they want Maveth, essentially. What this mage didn't do is tell why Cadavros wasn't killed, because that's a big question Zavander has. Why did the king let Cadavros go? We have a hint at that based on the Prince's
life, yeah.
Yep, Prince's life, but he's still like, why? Like, where? I need the whole story. But yeah, so obviously the mage knows too much now because Maveth is there. So once this mage gives all this information, Zavander intends to kill him with his scorpions, but he doesn't get the chance to because his like insides like melt, like all of his like organs like liquefy. So obviously there's some sort of magic there. Once he says some sort of secret, he like dies, which, you know, he was going to die either way, but whatever. As that's happening, the villagers begin attacking because the uprising, they're not happy. People don't like being poor while the royalty gets to do whatever they want. So Zavander, his whole job is to find Dorjan or like everyone dies. So he goes, finds Dorjan, leaving Maveth with Rakaya and Torn in this total chaos. And that's how that chapter ends.
And so at this point, this is where things start to really pop off because we're getting closer. We've got, from a timeline perspective, we got like about 2 hours left of the total book. And in any Romantasy, the last 150 pages or so are where shit's gonna go down. So chapter 53, we shift perspectives to Maveth, and it literally starts out with her saying, damn, I should have just stayed with Zavander. Something's telling me I should have just stayed with him. And your girl was right. We need to follow our intuition at times. And so these Celestian guards are now following Rakaya and her. So Rakaya tries to cleave them back. And so if we remember cleave from previous episodes, it's basically like a tear to where they can jump through to go back to the castle, which is Zavander's castle and Rakaya's castle and their family home. So she's trying to jump through, and Maveth doesn't make it, which is a problem. So she gets grabbed. She doesn't make it into the portal. And this is where things get real culty really quickly. So next thing you know, poor Maveth wakes up and she's, what's going on here? She's chained down and she's looking around. She's, what's going on? And there's all this chanting going on. She sees these black flames, these robed people, and they're all like, you're the last Corvikai, and like chanting at her for her blood. And can you imagine? You're just like, the
just
fuck
woke up to
is going on. Yes. So now they're like, we're gonna kill you because we need to get this last bloodstone. So like full circle, we're going back to the beginning of where we meet Zavander offing people for bloodstones. Now his girl is up here chained up by these crazy.
Clearly they were all doing the same thing. This was a new thing.
Oh no, they've also been searching for a Corvikai for some time. So this is not new. So they've been looking for her for some time. So as they're chanting, Morsana, goddess of death, appeared herself, not to them. So just to me. And she's, hey, by the way, you command the black flame, so don't get it twisted. These guys just don't even, I mean, she said a lot more eloquently. But yeah, she's, you don't have to take this. Just, you've got my blood. So like the Corvikai blood's superior. So you take over this whole situation, FYI. So Maveth is, and so she starts to blow fire at the mage, and all the mages are like, oh my god, and because now they're terrified. Right, police chaos reigns, and we know Maveth is queen of chaos, as she is, and so she's trying to free herself from this moment. All of this happens very quickly, so when you're reading the book, you're just like, oh, it's finally like the end. Hopefully you're not reading this at 2-3 in the morning like myself and trying to power hour through the last hour of this book, and you look at the bottom left-hand corner of your Kindle that says you have an hour and 20 minutes left, and you're like, oh, that's really 50 minutes. I can power through this thing. Yeah. It's not 50 minutes, and it's tracking your pacing, so relax. That's really a note for me. So anyway, she is panicking because the flame is not dying out. It's like still going. Like the flames. It reminds me of when, it's going to be another Harry Potter reference. This reminds me of Draco or Crabbe or Goyle. One of them. I can't remember offhand. They accidentally set fire to the room of requirement. And they're like going like this. I think it was Crabbe or Goyle. And Draco's, you just let the whole place on fire. And Ron's, you just let the whole place on fire. And they're like trying to put the fire out. And this is Maveth, the wand. And she's, oh shit, I just controlled the black flame. And well, now what do I do? Because now she doesn't know how to put the black flame out. And the black flame's cool. What do we do now? I'm just going to go keep doing my thing out here, being a black flame. And she's like panicking because we're chilling. I thought that's what you wanted. So it's not going as planned, clearly. Chaos. It comes back for her. So she comes back and cleaves and comes back for her. But the flames are engulfing the room. So Rakaya is trying to help her control the flames. And they're parting the way so they can get to Dolian because Dolian's there too. So Melantha, if we recall correctly, was looking for Dolian, and the High mage, the high leader, was looking for Dolian as well. And also, this is the same chick that was doing like the truth serum type deal to Zavander way at the beginning of the book. So she makes her appearance again. So we see her again. Surprised? Not really. I had a feeling she was going to come back. It was alluded to. We had it. She was going to come back up, and voila, here she appears. So Rakaya recognizes her and gets put under a sleeping spell because Melantha's like, oh, don't blow my cover. And then Melantha reveals that Dolian had sent Zavander to kill Maveth. This is what she's telling Maveth, right? And she's, look, I'm gonna deliver you to your sister. You need to trust me. Zavander was gonna kill you. That's what he was sent to do, which is not a lie. We know that this is actually factually true, truth. And because remember, the whole deal of how he met Maveth was that she was sleeping in her bed and he was trying to try and kill her, and he couldn't. So this is all true. So Melantha is, let me show you your sister Maveth, and I'll take you to her. Maveth is desperate at this point to get back to her sister. We know that she is desperate because she stated it many times. She has a moment of vulnerability about Zavander and his motives. This is pretty classic, I would think, in a trilogy for our character arc to have something that splits or divides our female main character and a male main character. But also, this is really more about her loyalty to her family and her desperation to get back as quick as possible, because her other fear is that Zavander's going to send her away if she goes back, and that Dolian is going to take her to this far other side, and she's going to be so far away from her sister that any hope of finding Alasia again is going to be just dashed. So she's like, knows this isn't probably the best idea, but also choice does she have? She doesn't feel like she has a whole lot of options. So she's like, well, fuck it, I'm going to go. And that ends the chapter.
Right. So chapter 54, we bounce back to Zavander's perspective, and this is actually an hour before Maveth left. So these two chapters are actually happening simultaneously, but we can't read them simultaneously. Zavander, so he reaches Dorjan's chamber to take him to the Undercroft, which is like underneath the castle, where basically...
And don't forget Dorjan is the prince,
yes,
to be clear, because these names are similar. Not Dolian.
Not Dolian. Dorjan. The prince
different
who's
person.
With his lover, and he barges in. I probably should have
hung over,
but yeah. He's
probably
and
over.
He just they're naked.
We're still
get your clothes on, and he takes him to the Undercroft, which is underneath the castle. And the king, queen, and princess and captain, who the princess and the captain were also just having relations because of the ceremony, and they are down there with the Silesian king and queen. So things are tense down there. Zavander is like in disguise as like a tutor of all things. He's a tutor with the other assassins as servants. So they're all, because the king wants to keep his assassins secret. He doesn't want their identities to be known, because then what's the point of having assassins? So they like have their disguises. And Dorjan blames his dad for this uprising. He's drunk. That is your fault. Which, yeah, it is for sure. Zavander is ultimately
time and
dismissed.
Place, though. Time and place.
Yes. And there's like this conversation where like the Silesian king is, oh, if you're a tutor, then maybe you should go up against my general and have a battle. And Zavander's, oh, fuck, no, I need to leave. And obviously the king knows who's Zavander's relationship with the Silesians. So he dismisses Zavander. And he overhears a conversation between General Lois talking to Captain Savant, which is captain for like his people, his guard.
Right.
So he already knows, or as he's hearing this conversation, he's understanding that the Silesians, there's like an uprising within the ranks under the king. So Lois has plans for Zavander, and as they're like talking, they have Maveth. He overhears that they have Maveth, and they're going to take all the bloodstones, and Lois blames the king for not killing Cadavros when he had the chance, and they're just having this conversation. And there's this sort of hint of jealousy that Zavant has when Zavander's name's brought up, because it comes off that they're lovers of a sort, and Lois kisses Zavant like goodbye, which... yeah, she has plans for Zavander. Don't worry, pet. Everything's going to be fine. Yeah. Zavander, he ultimately follows the captain, cloaked in shadows, so the captain doesn't see him.
Well, plus he's shadow daddy, so he can do these types of things.
Absolutely. And he comes to the room that Maveth was in, but she escaped. So he's like, where the fuck is she? She escaped with Rakaya. Zavander finds Dolian and Rakaya. Dolian tells Zavander to find Maveth. You need to go find her. You need to go find her. She left. He at first refuses because he wants to save Rakaya. Rakaya's always been his priority. And Dolian's like, no, your new priority is Maveth, not Rakaya. He tells
and
Zavander.
Zavander's such a dick about this. He does not want the vulnerability that is liking Maveth, like hardcore.
No.
So if there were people who were like of the camp of this is enemies to lovers, I don't know if it's like enemies to lovers or if it's like...
No. I wouldn't say that.
I don't know. I wouldn't even go that far. I would just say he's got trauma,
he has trust
issues.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not enemies though.
No, I wouldn't say that. But this is where Dolian drops the mic, says, she's your mate, so that's why you couldn't kill her. He's like, how? What? How long have you been holding on to this? That's some important information. Zavander ultimately gives Rakaya Vivicantum, and she wakes up. And then she says, because remember, like, last episode or 2 episodes ago, where Zavander and his little friends, they caught the Flamelian who supposedly hurt Rakaya and fed him to Branimir. Yeah, actually, the Flamelian was Melantha. And he's like, oh, shit, got the wrong guy. Obviously, that guy sucked, too. This is the person
he
that
was
actually
still
was hurting.
bad.
Yeah, he was also doing that thing, but that wasn't the one that specifically Rakaya dealt with.
We're wondering, how does Rakaya and Melantha know each other? First, you're thinking, in the previous chapter, you're thinking like, oh, like they've crossed paths because of like Zavander's bloodline and all of that. Like they knew each other some other way. And no, turns out that is not how they knew each other at all.
Nope, not at all. So Dolian is going to leave to Kelixar, which is the original plan, with Rakaya, Torn, and Alora. So now Rakaya is going with them. He then runs to the portal to follow Maveth and find her. So
this all happens. If you're wondering, how did Zavander find Maveth to go to the portal at the same time? We have to remember that the chapter before, it starts an hour before, but you're leading up to him going down the steps or getting to where she was, basically, right at the same time as together, like what's happening very quickly as he's going to follow Maveth. So this all happens very fast. And part 3 begins from there. So now we're in chapter 55 from Maveth's perspective. We know that she is on this new part of her journey. We're starting another segment, the last part of this book. We're going into part 3 with chapter 55. Maveth is in front of the Umbervale, and Solashas have followed her. So remember that the Umbervale is the line that separates the 2 worlds. So this is the map, if you're looking at her map online, which is fantastic, by the way. I've told you this before. But Etheria and Mortasia, which are these big continents of their own, they come really close to touching together, but ultimately are separated by the Umbervale. So they're separated in 2, and this is where they come really close together between the Hagsmist Forest and the Eating Woods. So going into the Eating Woods is going to bring her back into Mortasia, and this is where we find Maveth in chapter 55. She steps to go to see Alasia into the woods, and she gets in because she's knocked through the portal to go there. So she goes deeper into the woods. She's looking for Alasia, and everything is off. There's an off vibe happening here. It's not right. Something's off. If I were seeing this in a film, I would think that when she walks through this next time, there's the same type of underlying theme music, but now it's like darker, and like maybe like the overall like screen imagery is even grayer, I would say. Like visually, this is what I would expect if I'm like walking through from this point. That's how I'm imagining it in my head. Everybody's gone. Nobody from the town is there anymore. Alasia was calling out her name that she remembers, but you don't answer your own name in the woods. You keep walking until you're out of the woods because predators know your name and they're trying to get you. And so these noises. So she's hearing her own name, but then something strikes her head and it's a tall, shadowy figure, and that's all she sees. And it's like the way I was like, oh my God, oh shit.
Ugh. Yeah.
Luckily, chapter 56 is still in Mavis' perspective. So we don't get Kerri doesn't jump us around and we wake up in chapter 56 in Mavis' perspective.
Yep. And in chapter 56, if we
Got
thought
into a
we were
better
done with
situation,
the
though.
uncles, no. I thought we were done with the uncles. We are not done with the uncles at all. So Mavis wakes up and she is in an ice casket that Felix used to basically store the dead bodies for embalming, for those things. So she's trapped in an ice casket. Fun. Felix had turned into a creature. Just remember way back in the beginning, Moros had fit the Vivicantum to the one captain that touched Mavis, and he turned into like this creature guy. Now, this is what Felix is. And she's like trying to break out the casket, and she like breaks through some of it, but he ultimately throws her out of the casket, and she's like fighting off using her glyphs, but he grabbed her and tried to force himself on her. So he tried to
this is
sexually
extremely
assault her.
graphic, by the way.
Yes, very much.
This whole like extremely triggering, massive trigger warning here. If that type of stuff is not for you and you haven't read chapter 56 yet, probably should skip it. It's a massively triggering chapter. We'll cover it in a way that doesn't go anywhere near the level of depth that this was, because this is definitely
it was a hard chapter to read.
Yeah,
a lot was happening. And a lot was happening all at one time. You feel her panic as she's going through that. So but what ends up happening is she uses her bone whip, which is really cool. This is the magic that she like summoned at the very beginning, and now she actually does a full circle moment where she like first summoned it in Foxglove, and then now she comes back to Foxglove, and she's actually able to fully summon it to defend herself, and she's able to knock him back. So we love that part for her.
Well, I'm also glad that Uncle Felix had this fate, to be frank with you. Okay.
Oh yeah, no,
Felix was not upset.
Disgusting.
He's
no,
gross.
All of them are. All of them should.
Yeah.
Be.
Yes.
She searches the other ice boxes for Alasia, hoping that she's been trapped here. But instead, she found Agatha, who is also a creature covered in spiders. These fucking spiders. I swear to God. These spiders. I can't.
Her creature thing. She's not. She's like half human. She's like part spider.
And spiders just come out of everywhere. And the spiders attack.
And that's why I was like, Michelle, are you sure about this book? And you're like, yeah, it'll be fine. I'm like, okay.
It'll be fine. So many spiders.
Yeah. Spiders in any of her other book that we've ever covered.
Biggest fear.
And the next book is like longer. So, we have that to look
more
forward to.
Spiders.
Oh, yeah.
But we have Zavander. We have our shadow daddy who will protect from the spiders, because that's what he does. He comes and he burns the spiders, as all should be burned. And he agrees to help her find Alasia, because at first she's like, let's go. We got to go. And she's like, no, I got to stay here.
We need to leave here.
So he's
like, you want to stay here?
The place with the demons and the spiders.
Literally spider demon people. Let's set up shop here.
Sounds great. This is great job. But they end up going to the Crone Witch's cottage for shelter, and love the witch.
Yes. And chapter 57 is from Mavis' perspective still. She and Zavander go to the Crone Witch, Elowin's cottage, and she's, I don't know if you should be here. If you can go somewhere else, you probably should, because everybody's been turning into monsters since they banished your sister. And that was a couple months ago. So this has been months of time. So just another kind of indicator that...
What? It's been 2 weeks. And she's like, no,
right.
It hasn't.
No, it hasn't. It's been months. Yes. And so this is like another indicator of like how time moves differently once you cross the threshold in the portal, that visually they're on a map at the same way, but they're not in the same type of realm or time. They're ultimately impacted differently by time. So the witch ultimately, Elowin is like, fine, you can come stay. You clearly are not infected. You just got here. And which is like a clue that Elowin is probably not from here if she thinks that so quickly. It's an indicator that she has more, there's more to know about her. So Elowin tells Mavis everything that's happened. Moros came out of the woods with Alasia, but then Moros left town for a week or so. And then when he came back, everybody started getting sick, complaining of spider bites. So remember that Moros is not Moros, as we well know. We also know that the new Moros, who is our other evil player, who got banished, is Cadavros, and he was going to seek out the Vivicantum because, remember, that's what he needs. So he's plotting over here. He's got some plotting going on, and they're all complaining of spider bites when he comes back. People are getting sick. Elwyn bumped this. I'm going up into my little house over here. Nobody's going to come and find me and bother me. I'm already known as this witch who likes to live alone. And she just stayed completely quiet because the creatures don't like noise. And Moros eventually left. So this is good foreshadowing to let us know that Cadavros is not dead still. And that Moros, we know, is dead. And that there's some more things at play here. Mavis is telling her she's been in the woods, but Elwyn, no, you haven't, because nothing lives up in there. Morris, she also knows that the creature swallowed Moros, and that's who's out there walking around. So we find out that Elwyn is from Etheria, which at this point was alluded to, like I said, at the beginning of the chapter. And she's a Nillavir, which is, by definition, a Mancer who has lost their blood magic over time due to lack of Vivicantum. So truly, she's magical. She just can't access it because she's lost it due to having a lack of access to Vivicantum. And she was eventually rejected by the Lunaseer. So the Corvicae took her in. The Corvicae are, we know this already, are Avith's people. And this was a millennia ago. So she's just been hanging out. She's old. Yeah, she's real old and she was real magical at one time. And she was there when the Corvicae were forced in the Crucian Trench by the Thalassians. So if we remember correctly, Mavith's family bloodline in history was that they were forced into this trench and they all basically perished, were never heard from again. But what do we know about books and when people die? No body, no death. So let's keep that where. So the Thalassians are responsible for this because there's power in her blood. She's the most powerful of the bloodline, and Thalassians don't want to be challenged. Therefore, we're going to try to get rid of you. So she flees. We find out that she flees with the last rose of Morsana, and a priestess told her to go to the Mortar Lands, and there's a child who is going to avenge her people. So now we know that we've been waiting for Mavis' story, because the beginning of the story starts out with she gets told she's a baby in the basket. She's got this black rose. You're trying to figure out what the heck's going on with Mavis and what's her story. And we find out that the Crone Witch is actually of her people, of Etheria, and is responsible for having been guided to get this child. But she long time for Mavis to be born. Yes. And she actually saw Cadavros enter the Eating Woods, and that he's the god of disease and famine. And once he's gathered enough power, he's going to try to go back to Etheria and continue to spread this. This is his life's work. He wants to do this. This is his goal. She had many times to return to Etheria, but one time she did it by trying to sacrifice a boy to Cadavros, and she was successful in this, but when she tried to enter, her hands were burned. So she has blood on her hands too. The Crone Witch isn't all good. She's definitely, she's got some problems here. She says that basically the way I see this is the Crone Witch is trying to redeem her wrongs with Mavis, and she masks Mavis' silver eyes to gray when she was a baby, and I was not a good person. I waited a really long time for you. I waited a millennia for you almost. I was given this information a really long time ago, and I've pretty much just been banished here for most of my life. And that's her penance for some of the things that she's done. So she ends up showing them to their beds and they go to sleep. And the way I was like, we're just going to go to sleep with a child murderer. We're surrounded by death spiders / human things.
We're going into your favorite trope.
Let's go down for a nap.
We're going into your favorite trope. It's not an inn. It's not an inn with one bed. But it is a cottage with one bed. Cottage with one bed. It's still a house in the woods. Usually the inn is some obscure building somewhere. It's never a nice inn. We're not talking we're not at the Four Seasons. We're at some rinky-dink red roof inn, honestly.
Yeah. It's not good.
Okay.
We're at a Motel 6. No diss to you, Motel 6, but just saying, we're off the highway. We're not doing anything special.
The lights are flickering.
Literally.
And okay, so these next few chapters, they happen the pacing of these few chapters is hard because we have Mavis and Zavander's perspective, and Mavis is grounded in what's actually happening. And after this chapter, Zavander results into this trance-like state that we've talked about where he is dealing one-to-one with Cadavros. So he experiences a lot like his deepest trauma in this. So when we're going through these next few chapters, just keep that in mind, the pacing of this. And it was actually very difficult to read. I got confused, but then when I realized like what was going on, it was hard to read too. It was because it was like Zavander's biggest fear. So chapter 58 is Mavis. She's insisting that they share a bed because, of course, there's one bed. The floor is no good for anyone. Let's share a bed. And they undress. And she also, because of what happened with her monster Felix, she's also not wearing any undergarments too. So your girl is open. Zavander's noticing a scar on her body from when she was a child. And she mouthed off to a soldier, so she got beaten for that. And Zavander is covered. His life scars for similar reasons because he also mouthed off.
Well, remember, he
people.
wears a mask too. I mean, he wears a mask covering part of his face due to scars.
Yes.
Googling fan art for Zavander. Don't forget
scars
that he
everywhere.
wears a mask. Yeah.
Yep. So he's happy she hasn't been with another man because they talked about I'm not so innocent, but she hasn't actually. There's like a boy that there were kind of something going on with, but like never, they never fully consummated the relationship ultimately. So while Zavander has had prostitutes because he's visited sex cells before and has had women and all these things because he's way older than her. You haven't had anyone, so I'm happy. And the way I'm just like, boy, you can't even comment. You shouldn't comment. Like, even if she has been with someone, it's none of your, no. So whatever. The possessiveness of him, which is,
But even he knows, look at his
I'm jealous.
He's not really, but he's not really like judging. I don't know that he would actually care, but he's just, no one else can have you after me. Anyway, I'm it for you. Yes. Well, but you have to remember too, like he knows it now that this is his mate and she doesn't know. So he's like processing more information than she is. The term mate
wouldn't register for her as much as it is for him. That's something that she grew up as a mortal. We don't really have, the fated mate thing with the clicking in the soul and whatnot.
No. To be fair, on his side, I want to be clear, I'm not justifying that he's okay to say whatever he has to say about her number of people she's been with or whatever like that. But I do think that the point of it was to like emphasize the banter and possessiveness and the how he is. But ultimately, I don't know that he really cares that much. Or that it would be more of a factor in any way.
No, it was more like, good, you're just mine and all mine. Mine. So Mavis, she like admits to herself, she's like, actually, the best part of this is like having this banter where we like tease and poke at each other. And he tells her that he didn't kill her because of her snoring. That he's, you know what, I couldn't because you're snoring. And like they have this lighthearted moment and like this dinky cottage in the woods with all this chaos going around them. So it's nice. And so because they're dressed down or without many layers of clothing, he like wraps his arms around her for heat, and there's like this yearning, and he kisses her. So they start this spice just because he still has his trauma. So the whole him being touched, he doesn't like being touched still, which rightfully, but they still have this spicy time. So she recalls this rhyme the villagers used to like say about her, which is really sad. She's basically like a legend, but not in a good way. So it's, I dare you to look her in the eyes, look the Lorn in the eye, and everyone you love will die. So people avoided her all the time.
Oh, yeah.
They never looked at her. And the way Zavander looked at her, like, so in comparison, Zavander looks at her like she's worthy of being seen. So this is just a very satisfying moment for her, not just because of like the sexual nature of it, but because that she's finally getting intimate. Yeah, she's getting this intimacy that she's desired, just like even companionship, but just someone actually seeing her and not having any sort of fear of what she is or what she can do. And then these like black flames engulf them and crack the window. So this is very much like Fourth Wing Violet. Like anytime Violet and Xaden do anything, it's like lightning. Hers is black flames, which is scary.
It doesn't hurt him and vice versa.
There's just destroy the cottage. The woman has been waiting for you and you're just going to destroy her house. Cool. So he tells her that he watched her when she drank the ambrosier. So this is where they had their own self-spicy time. But he hesitated at touching her then. He wanted her, but couldn't go further. And she like respected that. So they're like establishing, we got boundaries and we got to respect those boundaries, because in this world, no one has boundaries and no one's respecting anyone's boundaries of any sort. So here we are like, no, we have boundaries. Consent is a must here. And then next chapter.
We get to the next chapter, which is the Vander's point of view. And there's this part of Romantasy that the reason it is Romantasy, or the reason it's like dark romantic fantasy, the key word being romance, is that the female main character and male main character, if the romance doesn't happen, the plot doesn't happen. And that is definitely true of this book, even though I still think it's up there in the high fantasy genre overall. But I do think aspect is a part of it. But it's really not the overarching driving factor. And if these two didn't come together romantically, if they were like best friends, I feel like part of this could still work. There's ways that this could have been written in a way that didn't happen like that. But this is just
But like to like argue with that, just because we keep coming back to Game of Thrones, just because of that whole like comparison. In Game of Thrones, Daenerys marries Khal Drogo. And that wasn't like romantic, and it was arranged, but it ended up blossoming into
real romance,
friendship, and like a romance. Yeah. And that was a driving point to move her character arc. There is romantic factors that drive plot in that story as well.
Let's not forget how Bran fell from the tower in the first place. That was driven by a romantic incestual thing. And that denotes the difference between high fantasy, supposedly, and dark romantasy. I think that's like minimalizing Kerri Lake's achievement here.
Agree.
By far. And it also minimalizes the audience that she's put in front of just by putting genre, which is unfortunate. Justice for dark romantasy, especially this book series. But I digress. Chapter 59. Xander can't sleep, so he's watching her, and now this is my mate. He can't unknow what he knows now. And then he, of course, feels undeserving of her, which is really sad that he feels undeserving of her, given she's good and innocent, and I'm not. And also, now I'm gonna be robbed of this because she's immortal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is she mortal? Like, she's amortal, not immortal. And I'm like, Xander, is she mortal?
The Corpicais were mortal.
Yeah, but I feel like there's clues here too that maybe she won't be. We'll have to see.
Right.
And he's worried that he's gonna treat Mavis poorly because of his own trauma, the things that General Lois has done. He doesn't know if he'll be able to be like a good mate or partner to her. He's very concerned about it, which green flag. Anytime you've had trauma and you're already concerned that you're going to hurt anyone else because of it is the first step. So good job, Xander, for identifying that. He sees a hooded figure with antlers outside. And the way I'm like, oh, cool. That's normal. Yeah, let's go check that out. And it's Cadavros. Great. And he can read his thoughts. Awesome. And Cadavros is, let me tell you what's happening. I have to eat these immortals to live. I don't want to. I have to. I think there's a bargain that might interest you. If you just like swear fealty to me, NBD, we can rule Mortasia together and be all powerful. And I feel like we've heard this before.
Yeah, this is like a very common like villain and
Pinky in the brain plotting to take over the world. Yeah, type of deal.
doesn't want power. Like, he doesn't, like,
No.
yeah, he's powerful.
He doesn't even want to be in the
this is like
limelight
a
at all.
burden. Yeah,
No,
this is a burden to
absolutely.
him.
He's
He
like,
would rather
I don't
be
want to rule
with
anything.
his books.
Like, yeah.
Give me my books, give
Like,
me
I just
my
want to be with my
alcohol.
mate. I don't want to be with my books. I want to be unbothered. I've been bothered. I've been a warrior.
much.
I've been bothered for a long time. I don't want to be bothered anymore. I want to
Fair.
sail off into the sunset.
Want to be an introvert.
And I don't want to be doing this anymore. Cadavers is like, okay, fine. How about I'll take your trauma away? You know, that seems like a good plan. He gives him these visions of Zavander is going to hurt Maveth because of his past trauma. And Cadavers is just like, you're going to give me your loyalty anyway, because I'm going to take her. I will take everything that matters to you. So ultimately, I don't care how I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. Which again, classic taking over the world to evil. So now we have our two very evil people presenting in the last few chapters here, which is General Lois, who we have not seen the last of. And obviously we have those mages who are after Maveth and all that. And then, yeah, we have Cadavros, who will be recurring. Brings us to chapter 60.
And in that chapter, we also learn that we also get verified that the real reason why Cadavros wasn't killed is because there's a blood tie directly Cadavros to the prince when he created that stone. So that was like the missing link that Zavander had. So he can't kill Cadavros because the prince dies and everyone else dies with him. So very smart on Cadavros' part to help the king out in such a conniving way.
We have to remember, too, that the reason that Cadavros can talk to Zavander is because of the bargain that his mother made as a baby, which was the very first opening of this book. So the reason Cadavros can enter Zavander's mind and talk to him mind to mind is because of this bond. And he leverages that quite a bit. I created you. Why do you think you have the power you have? You have it because of me, and just holds this over his head throughout this conversation. And Zavander's like, you can just take that. I really don't want any of that anyways.
Take it all.
Literally.
So chapter 60 is Maveth. And so while Zavander is having like this conversation and conflict with Cadavra, in the real world, Maveth just sees him convulsing in bed. And he's scorching hot. His eyes are black with veins like branching out from them. I'm picturing like venom from like Fourth Wing, like the branching out. Elwyn tells her something has his mind, which is Cadavros. So it's like he's in the state of Caligoria, which is that trance-like state that they go into. Elwyn doesn't believe Maveth has controlled the Sable Fire. She's like, yeah, bitch, that's not something that anyone can do. You're just, okay. So she works to bring his fever downward in the state. They strip him naked, and they both see the piercings, they see the scars, the whips, the blades, the poison, all the cuts and like the torture that he went through. And they're both like, who could do this? And the way Elwyn's like, how can such a young man have this happen to him? So remember, we think Zavander's like old as fuck. To Elwyn, who is like literally over a millennia old, she's little boy. So that was hard for them to see. They end up giving him like his privacy and pulling his pants back up, but because the whole purpose was to literally cool down his body to get him like
because he's like on fire,
a few layers as possible. So Maveth used cold water to cool him down, while Elwyn goes into the forest to find herbs. Great, we separated from them. After an hour,
let's go into the forest with spiders. Let's do it.
Where is she? And the way I'm like, I would wait a day before I search for some woman in the forest where we know there are monsters. No, thank you. I'm not waiting an hour. And she's just like, I'm just going to go find her. Yeah, that's fine. Let's go on an adventure. So she finds her lying on the ground surrounded in blood, but she like has no wounds. So she's, that's crazy. Why'd this happen? Then her body starts changing into a creature, like with the Vicantum creatures, and Elwyn attacks her, which is weird because obviously this is like Cadavros' spiders doing. What's so weird, she's from Etheria, so you would think she might be a little bit more immune to it, but nope. Maveth used her magic to stop her this time, and her fingers become black, and she literally snaps Elwyn's neck. But she gets a new glyph in the meantime.
Good
so she this is like her first. This is like her first death that she regrets, because Elwyn, she was trying to help them, And she's turned into the creature. She was protecting herself. But yeah, she definitely like struggles with this murder that she has. So Maeve realizes there are 2 more creatures that are hunting her, and she runs back into the cottage. And this is where she realizes that there's like a magical shield around the cottage. And that's why Elowen has been protected this whole time, because she's used magic.
This is warded.
Yep, it's warded.
So going back, this is Zavander's perspective, and now we have to remind ourselves that Zavander's point of view is not necessarily trustworthy, because the previous chapter, we're thinking that Cadavros showed up outside the window with antlers, and that's Cadavros, but reality is we now know that he didn't wake up, and Zavander had fallen asleep, and he's in Caligoria, so he's in this other mind state. So he's still there. He is getting taunted by Cadavros now because he is getting this really explicit trauma, sexual trauma with Maeve in this, and he's doing this on purpose. Cadavros knows like exactly what levers to pull, what buttons to push to really impact Zavander psychologically. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's saying, you can't have pleasure without pain. You're not going to have anything in this life. You need to join me or you're not going to get anything. He keeps hearing this whispering voice to wake up, but in the state he's in and with the ability that Cadavros has, he's hearing it as general loises, which is not good. And then Mavis starts to not be able to wake up, and she starts disintegrating in his arms. So remember I was saying that he's knowing like something's not good. Cadavros says, I can give you everything, blah, blah, blah. Just say yes to me and I'll give you the world type of deal. Maeve finally wakes him up and he sees her eyes and they're silver. So that ends chapter 61. It's a fast chapter, but it's dark as well.
Very dark.
This book continues to be dark. Yes.
Chapter 62, this is our last chapter, and it's in Maeve's perspective. So Zavander's asking, like, what did I do? Because of everything he just experienced in his Allegoria state. Because her eyes are silver. And before, when Elowen was talking to them, Elowen had told them that, oh, I made your eyes gray, and the only way to get rid of it is death. And they're like, oh, I don't want to die, so I'll keep my eyes gray. But it turns out it was Elowen's death that removed that, and now her eyes are actual silver. Right. So Maeve reassures Zavander, you haven't done anything. You've actually been convulsing, and it's been awful.
Really worried about you.
Glad to have you back. Yeah. And she's like, where'd you go? And he's hell, because that was literally his hell. So they kiss, and they have also another spicy time. Maeve touches him, but he's like, please don't. I have my own stuff that I need to deal with. And especially like the visions that he just had in this state that he was in. It just completely traumatized him. And then I saw the scars. And just so you know, I don't feel bad for you. I feel angry for you, but I don't feel bad for you as a person. So he's like trying to push her away, but she's like, no, I'm staying right here. You're not going to do that. You're not going to push me away. So she tells him if he ever slips into that state again, she will always bring him out of it. So she's traumatized after taking Elowen's life, and Zavander reaffirms that magic only works if you will it. So because she fears that she's just going to use her power to kill, and she won't have control over it. She's no, that's not how magic works. You have to actually will it to happen. So she willed Elowen to die, and it's because of the creature she was, because she was going to try to kill her. It was self-defense.
Exactly.
So they kiss, and then they have their spicy time. And this is where super highlighted quote, you are mine, Moon Witch, for all eternity and whatever lies beyond it. No soul has ever been more intricately woven into mine than yours. So again, this is reaffirming the mating bond. One. It's so sweet. And then they plan to leave the cottage in the morning, and she wants to go to Edelon. She's like, there's nothing for me here. I don't know where the fuck Alasia is. Let's just go. We tried. And he's going to take her to Calixar, and then they're both going to stay there. And he's like, fuck it. I'm going to abandon my guard. They'll probably try to kill me. Whatever. What's new here? Everyone's trying to kill me. So he tells her during their spicy time, she was speaking Primerian, which is like an ancient language. So again, she's speaking in languages that she doesn't actually know, which is again hinting at that she is more than just mortal. She's more than just Corvicae. She's more than just, there's more to her.
Right.
But And Maveth is just, I want to see Rakaya. I don't have my sister, but Rakaya's becoming like a sister to me. That's just what I want to do. They go downstairs to find food, and Maveth finds a trapdoor. In the ways of Anders, have we not learned what happens with trapdoors?
Yeah.
The last time you
Literally.
were pulled down by a spider. But here we are. You're just,
But also,
can't help yourself.
the last time his sibling was under the trapdoor. Her sibling is under the trapdoor.
And the way I'm like, why the fuck is she there with Elowen? Who Elowen's haven't seen her. Alasia who? No idea. Moros took her.
Just kidding. Alasia's underneath my floorboards. Everything's fine here.
That's fine.
What?
And that's how we end it. And the way I was just like, what the fuck? What do you mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean? She's just there.
Yes.
Oh,
the good news is,
way to hang out
we've
at
ended
cliffhanger.
Anathema. I know, of course. We've ended Anathema, but our Eating Woods coverage is still going to continue. So for you, more stuff to come. Eldritch is a massive book. We will be covering it into April. Yes, she is thick, and we're going to be covering her well into April. So that will wrap up our specific Anathema coverage. However, we're not done yet. We've got Eldritch coming in hot. And of course, later in the year, when book 3 releases, we will be on the edge of our seats for Asmora. So we're excited for that. Right now, we're going to jump into our Down the Rabbit Hole segment. And I wanted to talk briefly about how we just had Sarah J Maas on the Call Her Daddy podcast. Yes. And there's a couple things I want to unpack that we saw that was really interesting. And the first is the method with which she decided to talk about the release of these books, because she could have just gone through her publisher. Why do you think she specifically wanted to do the podcast and specifically the Call Her Daddy podcast, but also the way in which she went about announcing this and gave the fans a much bigger and broader interview than she's ever done before?
So Sarah J Maas is notorious for not posting anything in social media. Like the way...
Nothing. Yeah.
Do you remember last year when she posted she talked about this in the podcast too, is ACOTAR 6 through 7. Everyone gets that like a 7, 8 or 6 through 8 or 6, 7, 8. Is that an arrow? And the way she was just like, my handwriting must be so bad if that's what we were speculating on. And she talked about multiple times how the fan base has been so patient with her, and that she just felt, and I feel like because it's been so long since A Court of Silver Flames came out, that she maybe felt, I don't think she felt like she owed us an explanation, but she wanted to give the readers and her fan base an explanation just because she values the support that she has given. I don't believe we're owed any of the explanation she gave, because I know she mentions that she doesn't really see what people post about any of her stuff online. She stays very clear from that. Like, she has never seen any of the AI rendering. She doesn't dabble into that. And it's probably good for her well-being, because the way anytime anything wrong happens with people anticipated this and it didn't happen, let's attack. Let's just make all these memes that are antagonizing. And they're funny, but also it's jabbing at her or at her publisher and all that. So she talks a lot about her birth trauma and how she addresses some tropes and the way characters were developed that people tend to be unpopular in the book community. And she felt the need to
the pregnancy trope.
Yeah. The pregnancy trope is a big one. And
it's
how
hated.
It's rooted in her own trauma. And the way I hope that would get people to be to rethink the amount of
pregnancy
hate
trope
they have for not just the pregnancy trope, but for anything writers write, because the writing is personal. Writing these stories, even though it's published, it is a very personal thing, and these writers pour their hearts and souls into it. And what Sarah J Maas, she pours her personal experience. Literally every character is laced with some sort of personal experience, and the characters just go with what is going on in her life, and she doesn't plan it out, which is wild to me. That it's just it just happened. It just happened. But
I'll be yes on that.
I'm sure there's there's plotting, but I feel like when characters just naturally come up in your flow of thought, then things can be rearranged for the most part. But I feel like, I hope what that interview gave insight to is that we as readers need to chill out. Instagram and Booktok needs to chill out, because if there's something that someone dislikes, there's so much hate just thrown at an author, and it like can make them spiral. And the fact that people are like, ew, pregnancy trope, ew, why is Favorite going through this, ew, why is Favorite going that. Literally, this woman went through the most traumatic pregnancy and like birthing experience, as someone I've gone through 2 birthing experiences, and I'm like, neither of them were as traumatic as that one. And I can't imagine like trying to like put my experience into a page and people being like, that's bullshit, this is awful. So my life was awful at that point in time. Thanks for reaffirming that. So I don't blame Sarah J Maas for staying off socials, because Booktok and Bookstagram is toxic as fuck, and we've talked about that so many times, how the community can be toxic. And it's entitlement, ultimately. Like, readers often feel like they're entitled to have the story that they want. So that's not how it works. Sorry, kiddo. That's not how life works. That's not how this works. I know you're like in your own little head. If you want a story the way you want it, then write the goddamn thing. Don't force that on these authors.
Yeah. And I think too, there's, especially for indie authors, I feel like there's this level of expectation of, not only do I have to be this great author, I also have to be great at content creation and be great at getting people to follow and like my posts. And now I have to get out there every day and post more stuff. And it's become a different world. And on the one hand, I get it, because that's how marketing works. If people don't know you, they don't know you. And a big marketing firm may or may not have the budget or want to take the time to put you out there. So I understand from a certain point. But at the levels of the Rebecca Yarroses and the Sarah J Maas's, and frankly, even Fantasy Fangirls, who's had to come out and say things like, hey, my safety is paramount. Fantasy Fangirls, who's another female-based podcast that one of the sisters has some kids, and they were coming here to Orlando actually for a big Romantasy book con, and they were talking about courtesy with dealing with one of the podcasters, and if you see her out with her kids, and here's our expectations if you meet with us in person. And I was like, is this where we are, that putting this out is where we're at? Like, we need to tell people not to come up to us when we're with our children? I don't know. Like, are we there? Is that where we're at? Is that necessary? I don't know. Bizarre times that we're living in. I remember too, we've interviewed a lot of different authors, higher level authors, and a lot of them are pretty big on privacy. Bryn Weaver even recently publicly did a post about her having a stalker. And then there were posts that a lot of dark romance people be like, the biggest questions that they get asked are like, oh, do you do these positions with your husbands and stuff like that regarding spice? And it's like, where did we all of a sudden, like, where did that like level of manners and what you would ask from in person? Would you ask that person that? If the answer is no, why are we typing it on our phones and putting it in a comment? Why are we feeling comfortable enough to send a private DM asking these types of things? Like, what's going on where we have the audacity?
It's easy to hide behind your phone. It's almost like a safety net, right? But to bring it out into a reality is also like another step of, I know this person on my phone because I see them all the time. And that's like an escapism type aspect. And now I see them in person. And because I've interacted with all their stuff online, and I see like aspects of their life, then obviously I know them, but they don't. So
yeah, you've literally never met them. Yeah. And let's face it, ACOTAR is huge. Like, anytime we post anything about ACOTAR or Crescent City or Throne of Glass or anything, it does extremely well. The algorithm just flat out loves ACOTAR. And then if you're going to post something that says something negative about ACOTAR where everybody's going to engage with you, now your views go up. So is it really about ACOTAR, or are there like selfish gains here?
A lot, yeah. You have to play the games of the algorithm if you're playing with anything social media based.
It's just, I wonder sometimes if the level of what the screen time does to split you from true reality and what people feel like they can say online versus what someone would actually say in front of another person is wild. Crazy times we're in, for sure.
that leads us into mystery Q&A. These questions have not been shared with us, either of us, prior to asking. So a big trend with millennial TV was like reality TV. Like, MTV was like all like reality based.
Yeah.
There was
America's Next Top
Catfish.
Model.
There was America's Next Top Model.
Mhm.
That wasn't MTV, I don't think, but
No.
there's all these different types of reality, Survivor, all that. So what was your favorite reality show that you have watched in the past, or something that you're currently watching?
So I used to love The Amazing Race, like when it first came out forever ago. I thought that was a super fun show because they did so many different things, and you get to see them go. They usually fought with each other, and it was dramatic because the couples,
of course,
or friends,
reality
or whoever
TV.
they were. But they're racing, and I thought that was such a unique concept, and I thought it was really cool, all the places they went, and I like The Amazing Race. But on the flip side of that, most recently, I like the first few seasons of Love is Blind. I didn't keep watching it. I've since heard that it has expanded globally now. And, it's like there's a whole bunch of different country ones and whatever. There's all these different things. I only watched the first 2 seasons. That's the thing. It's like reality TV for me is very short-lived. Watch the first season or 2. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like The Circle. Remember that? That was like a brief thing.
That happened during COVID time too.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it, right? So I go through these bouts. I also watched like The Bachelor. And Hannah Brown was on there, and then I watched her Bachelorette season. I don't know any of the other ones. I'm real intermittent with the reality TV.
That's fair.
I come and go with it. So I think those will probably be like some of the ones. America's Next Top Model just had their like reunion special or whatever, which I probably won't be watching because I thought the show was toxic at the time and is now being remembered as extremely toxic. So I guess that was actually true. But yeah, what about you?
Okay. So the reality TV show that I loved, which was also toxic when I was millennial, was Jersey Shore. That was the most toxic shit. It was so funny because like these outlandish people, just Gym Tan Laundry, that's it. Yeah. And cabs are here and all these like stupid one-liners that is wild. And so what I'm currently watching and was very like popular right now is The Secret Life of Mormon Wives. And it is
You've told me about this
wild show. It is so wild. Season 4 just dropped, and it was so wild because
there's season 4 now. They have 4 seasons of this thing.
Yes, and it's only been out for 2 years, so they've filmed, and they were currently filming season 5. But there's a lot of drama with that's going on social media. The main girl is the new Bachelorette, and that episode, I think that airs the 22nd. I don't really watch The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. That was a big part of.
No, I watched it a long time.
So it's just. My husband's, what are you watching? I'm like, I'm trying to explain every single girl and how like mom talk and how just like these Mormon women were doing these silly dances on TikTok and they exploded and now they're like all like millionaires and doing all their brand deals and all that, which is totally awesome for them. But it's so entertaining because there's so much drama. I was watching it one time and my daughter watched it. She's like, why do you like this? I'm like, it's drama. Like they're fighting and that's entertaining because I don't want fighting in my real life. I'm trying to explain this to her and she's like, okay, goes off and plays with her doll. She's like, okay, whatever you say, crazy lady. But that's like the thing. It's entertaining to watch like all the toxicity and have no hand in it whatsoever. But especially these women, it's all they do is do TikTok trends and drink their dirty sodas. And have their hair extensions. And it's very entertaining. I recommend as a mindless binge for sure.
Got it. And you've been recommending this one for a bit, and you're not the only one.
Yeah.
I've had several people recommend it, and I'm like, really?
It's just toxic.
And they're like, no, it's so bad. It's good. I was like,
yeah, it is. And then like you have the husbands involved too, and it's just such like a bunch of different dynamics, and yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the last show like that I've watched. I never really got into like the Housewives of wherever or like any of those shows. I don't know. I wasn't really much of a reality TV person, if I'm being honest.
No, I wasn't, and I wasn't really a whole lot either. I watched Jersey Shore, I watched Say Yes to the Dress, and then I guess reality TV like Ghost Adventures, which isn't really reality TV, but this.
I remember Fear. Do you remember that show?
Yeah.
On MTV?
Fear.
That's crazy.
That was a good one. But yeah, I don't know what it is about these Mormon women. They're just They're that's why they're so
I think it's-
popular and they make so much
I
money.
guess it's because everybody's
but
like,
it's-
"What's going on over here?" It's like the mystery that's
Yeah,
happening
remember
in Utah.
the-
Nobody like everybody's what's going on over here. What are these
Remember
people
when
doing?
that show about the Amish came out? It was like
Yes. Mhm.
yeah, I forget what it's called, but yeah, they had a show about the Amish, and these are all people that like aren't Amish anymore. But like the show made it seem like they were Amish, and it was like they already left the community and everything.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
with
Well,
this,
because they're on camera, that's not part of
exactly
the thing.
with the Secret Life of Mormon Wives, most of them aren't practicing like Mormonism to a T. And it's
Can't
like
be,
in
no, I
the
guess.
more recent seasons, it's been like more prevalent that they're not really as much practicing as they were. And that's the whole point, seeing the patriarchy and flipping it upside down and whatnot.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's interesting. It's if you ever need something to just like binge watch while you clean or do laundry.
Oh,
it's good.
Why not? Could also binge watch our podcast. Just saying.
Absolutely.
We're here
That
for
was
you.
you, Danny, can binge watch.
Ah.
Not our listeners. You binge watch us.
Yes. And we are so grateful for you, by the way. On that note, so I have a question for you. I don't know how this is a debate, but I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
Do you top sheet or do you not top sheet?
It depends. I don't
Hold
a lot.
on
I
a
do.
second.
Sometimes I do. Most of the time I don't. Okay, so this was before like kiddos
Wait, we
slept in our
don't?
bed. No, because me and my husband, we like two different types of blankets. So I like
What size bed
like
are you on?
fluff-
This is like another question.
a king size bed. This is a king size
Okay.
bed. We like two
Okay,
different
okay.
types of blankets. He likes like the quilted blankets and I like the fluffy kind. So we have our two separate blankets.
The more you know. I'm
so
learning
I have,
so
like,
much.
My
I'm
stuff like
leaning in.
folded on my side
Uh-huh.
and like his stuff.
Wait, so none of you, so you don't share a top sheet?
No, sometimes I'll put one down and sleep over it. But no, we don't share a top sheet. Just because we don't share a comforter either. I've tried the quilted and I don't feel as cozy. And then he gets too hot. And like my fleece one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So no, I don't top sheet. I'm assuming by your reaction you do.
So this is like very controversial. There's a lot of people
Yeah.
who are like, you don't top sheet? What's wrong with you? Why aren't you doing a top sheet layer of warmth? Why aren't you using it? And it's keeping you from your comforter. There's a barrier.
I'm like,
from
why? I
your
like my
oils and
comforter.
stuff. I don't know. So I top sheet, but then
Okay.
here's the thing that's funny. My husband doesn't, but we're in the same bed.
Uh-huh.
So you're like probably wondering yourself, how does that work? Well,
I'm sure he just
he pushes
kicks
it
off
all the
and-
way down. Yes, that's exactly what happens. It goes all the way down on his side. And then like my
That's
side is up
funny.
because I have that. And then I have a blanket, a thin blanket. And then I have another comforter over that. And then more recently, when it was really cold here, we had the freeze and nobody get excited. Okay. It legitimately froze. Like all of our plants died down here in Florida.
Yeah,
Like we got this ridiculous, feels like 8 degrees for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And for us, that's really cool. So anyway, then I started adding another thinner comforter over top. So now
Okay.
I'm like
got lots
buried
of
in
layers.
blankets. Yeah. And then my husband sleeps with my pregnancy pillow still.
I
So
love that.
he's like over there snuggled up with that thing. He got that. He like never wanted to get rid of it. I was like, we can take this out now. It's been
No.
a time. And he's, nope, it stays. And I was like, okay,
fine.
then. So I just think it's interesting how people like get comfortable. And I guess next episode, I'll have to ask you if you're like a back sleeper, are we a side sleeper? What are we doing? What are we doing? Because we already talked about how I feel about mouth tape, and I'm definitely pro mouth tape.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. This is a mouth tape household.
I know you gave me
have
some
Had
for
very positive. I
a
did
push
give you some.
present. You gave me some mouth tape.
You needed mouth tape. It's important to have mouth tape. I wanted to know how your experience was with mouth tape. I haven't heard back, so I'm guessing you haven't tried it yet.
I haven't tried it
Still
yet. My
waiting.
allergies have been terrible, so I'm worried if I close this off, then I can't breathe and I can't
Yeah,
take
I mean,
any.
make sure you can breathe.
Yeah,
Let's not do
I
that.
can't take any like extending allergy medication
course.
because I'm feeding the little one.
Take your
So,
time, but let me
yes.
know
I still have it.
what happens with that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I still have it.
So the top sheet, technically we could get rid of it over here too, but I don't know why. I'm like still hanging on. I'm hanging on to the top sheet. I feel
A
like
lot
I
of
need it.
people need it. A lot of
I
people
feel like
like
I
it. A
need my
lot of
top
people
sheet.
need it. That just we were just staying with my in-laws and they watched all this stuff, but I was making the bed. They're like, "Oh, here's the top sheet." I'm like, Nah, it's fine. I'm not making the bed because I'm not going to use it. Or if I'm really hot, I'll just wrap myself in that sheet. But then again, my husband likes his own blanket. And then if the little ones are in the bed,
As they do.
They like their own blanket. My daughter loves her bamboo blankets that I was obsessed with when she was little, and the other one's in like a sleep sack. So everyone gets their own little thing. Top sheet's too much. Not dealing with it.
Now that we've settled that, I feel like now we know. Yes. Where are you for us, our listeners? Are we top sheet fans? Are we not? Comment. Let us know. We want to know.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, let's talk about what's coming up next on Book Club After Dark.
Next week, we're starting Eldritch. Let's do it. By Kerri Lake. And that book is a behemoth if you have not read it. But we're going to start with, of course, our breakout of chapter by chapter coverage. And we'll get started with that here really soon. So we're looking forward to continuing to dissect this novel and this series with you.
And don't forget, we want to hear from you. If you have thoughts on Anathema or suggestions for future reads, drop a comment below or message us on one of our social media platforms at Book Club After Dark Pod. Show us your fan art theories or anything bookish you'd like to share.
Yep, and you can also visit our website, bookclubafterdark.co, to stay up to date on our cozy content and check out our merch.
And that's all for tonight. Sleep tight, night owls. Until next time, happy reading.